Good morning everyone, welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. We've got one matter on the agenda today, which is an application for the grant of a premises licence in respect of a London House convenience store. Could I ask you to elect a chair, please?
I would be happy to nominate Adam to do that role for today.
Thank you very much. Good morning, gentlemen. Just do introductions first, and we'll ask for declarations of interest. So,
I'm Louis Stephen. I'm one of the councillors.
I'm Ed Kimberley. I'm also one of the councillors.
And I'm Adam Scott. I'm one of the councillors, and I'm the chair for the day. Has anyone, either of you, got any interest to declare?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think you've been given the full outline of what's happening. So could you first of all introduce yourselves?
Myself, Abhishek Yadav, and I'm the applicant for the London House Convenience Store.
Right.
And then I'm his friend, Gabir Singh. I've got experience in convenience stores, so I just came as a friend or advisor to give him a bit of aid.
Could remind you to speak quite loudly, because they sound pretty bad in here, and this should help. Okay, and in the room is Charlotte, who's introduced herself. There's Julian, who's the taking notes from Democratic Services, and Nikki Jones is our licensing officer from Worcester Regulatory Services. Thank you very much. Right, I'd remind everyone here that presentations to this subcommittee are given under oath. However, I'd like to remind all parties that the highest standards are expected, and any deviation from these high standards could possibly influence any decisions of the subcommittee. So you're entitled to have a legal representative, but you've brought a friend along, so that's adequate. We're going to, the procedures say, we've got a maximum limit at 10 minutes to make representations, and we're going to go through in order. First of all, Ms Jones, Nikki, will present the report outlining what's been going on with it, any representations and relevances to the policy and the Act, and and then, after questioning of her, we will go on to your chance to say what it is you're presenting to us, and speak in support of that. We'll be able to question you, and then we've got one representation which has been made, and the person is not present today, but we will nevertheless take what he or she has said into full account, and we'll deal with that as if they were in the room. There'll be a chance for you to make closing statements, and then we'll ask you to leave the room, and we'll have a private session where we will reach a decision on the thing. So hopefully we can get through this morning. Welcome to Worcester Guildhall. Okay, so let me just pass on to Nikki Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Right, we're here today to consider and determine an application for the grant of a new premises licence in respect of London House Convenience Store, which is on Great House Road, St John's, Worcester. A bit of background for you. On the 1st of August 2025, an application was received for the grant of a new premises licence for London House Convenience Store. The application contained all the documentation required, including the fee and a plan of the premises, and I can confirm it has been advertised in accordance with the Licensing Act 2003. A copy of the application is attached at Appendix 1, so hopefully you've all had a chance to have a look at that. The applicant is applying for the following licensable activities. So he's looking for supply of alcohol every day between 7 in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. The designated premises supervisor is identified in the application as Abhishek Yadav. Have I said that right? Apologies if I haven't. During the consultation process, there were no representations received from any of the relevant authorities. However, we did receive an objection from one of the members of public. The representation expressed concern in relation to increased noise from traffic and groups of people and the sale of alcohol in close proximity to primary and secondary schools, citing that the grant of the premises licence would undermine the prevention of public nuisance and protection of children from harm licensing objectives. A copy of that representation is attached at Appendix 2, so hopefully you've all had a chance to have a read through that as well. So local policy considerations, the subcommittee should have regard to the council statement of licensing policy under the Licensing Act 2003. The subcommittee is also obliged to determine this application with a view to the promotion of the licensing objectives, which are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance and the protection of children from harm. So for today, the subcommittee must consider and determine the application and decide whether to grant it or not. Thank you very much.
Any questions to Nikki from members of the subcommittee? Have you got any?
Just very briefly, just to be clear, you say there have been no feedback from other sort of consulted authorities. I assume, do we assume that means they're comfortable with it and that they are approving of it?
Yes, that's correct. So no representations received from any of the responsible authorities. So yes, on that basis, we would assume that there are no concerns from them regarding the application.
Go on.
Thank you for giving me opportunity to speak today. First, I would like to confirm that this is a straightforward application for the sale of alcohol for consumption of the premises from 7 till 11 in night, as part of local convenience store. During the consultation period, no objection were received from any of the responsible authorities. One objection have been received from a member of public, and I believe the most of the points which were raised in that objection are fall outside of the full licensing objectives. Matters such as traffic, parking, or competition with other shops are not licensing issue, which was raised by that person in his objection. So where concerns do touch the licensing objectives, such as public nuisance or protection of children from harm, I would like to explain the steps we are taking. Prevention of crime and disorder. We have installed a comprehensive CCTV system covering exit and entry points and alcohol on all the alcohol displays. Footage will be stored for 31 days and made available to police or licensing officer at any time. For the public safety, all the staff will receive full training in licensing laws and health and safety. Exit route and public areas will be kept clear all the time, and regular checks will be carried out on equipment and fire safety. And for the prevention of public nuisance, alcohol will not be displayed near entrance or exit, and there will be no self-service of spirits. Deliveries will be managed responsibly, and signage will remind customers to respect neighbors when leaving their store.
Also tell them about the clear bins outside.
There are clear-away bins are installed outside of the shop. There are bins which were just outside of the store, just in case if these.
He's talking about the company Clearway. So they've taken bins from them and they've been put outside the shops in order to make sure that there's no litter. So when people are leaving, because that's one of the public nuisance as well when they're going to be leaving.
And the last one is protection of children from harm. We will operate a strict challenge 25 policy, supported by staff training, refusal logs, clear signage. No staff member will sell alcohol until they have been trained by DPS, which is me, and I believe these measures go above and beyond what is normally expected for a convenience store, and they show our commitment to ensuring that licensing objectives are fully upheld. Thank you.
So I think I've got a question, first of all, and I think it's my colleague. Thank you very much. I've got a question, and then I think I'll pass on to my colleagues. First of all, on terms of the application.
Take your thing off. That's it.
Thank you. So one question from me, and then we'll pass on to my colleagues and the licensing officer and the magistrates. But I think, first of all, our procedure, sorry about this, ask if the subcommittees first. Okay, subcommittees questions. Okay, one question for me then. When I look at the application, I see it's been made by Holston Ridge. And could you explain the relationship between you and Holston Ridge, you and the applicant? So you're speaking on their behalf, or what's going on? And a bit about your background, maybe.
Well, I'm one of the director of Holston Ridge, and I work for Holston Ridge. Holston Ridge is, I work for Holston Ridge. Yeah. So Holston Ridge is, I founded that Holston Ridge with my friends. So I'm one of the director of Holston Ridge.
And have you run premises like this before?
No, but I have been worked and for an off license, and I know how this thing works and everything. I've been trained for that.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for your presentation, Mr. Yadav. I want to ask a couple of questions, if that's okay. You've talked about your commitment to preventing the sale of alcohol to children, given the proximity of the location to a school. As you know, there will be residents who are concerned about that, and it's important that we give them every reassurance possible. So I want to ask you a couple of questions. You've talked about the fact that your staff are trained, fully trained in the Challenge 25 policy. Could you expand a little bit on how you're going to ensure that that training is continued, renewed, and how you're going to ensure that into the future that that standard is held up?
We'll cover this Challenge 25 like all the time between 7 to 11 p.m. and we will ensure that no underage sales to be done by applying this Challenge 25 policy. If children gather outside, and we will move them politely, and if it becomes an issue, we will work with local authorities. But yeah, if it comes to train the staff for the Challenge 25, the DPS will make sure that all the staff which gonna be on till or selling alcohol, they have been trained and they are supervised by DPS.
So if I've understood correctly, essentially there's an ongoing process, an ongoing relationship with DBS checking to ensure that new staff as they come in will also be checked, also be trained. Is that correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. That brings me to my next question. I've had a little bit of a look at the plan for CCTV around the store. Will you be taking steps to ensure that there is CCTV to cover where the alcohol is stored, to ensure that there is every possible protection against children walking off with it out of the store? And are there any other security arrangements that you have in place to ensure that alcohol does not go missing from the store? Thank you.
Yeah, we will make sure that all the alcohol were in CCTV coverage area, and we will make sure that anything which is anything like spirits or something like that. Most of the spirits stuff gonna be behind the till, but the only thing which gonna be on the chillers or something like chillers, it's they
Beers and cider.
beers and ciders are gonna be on shelves. So we will make sure that all the shelves and the chillers which gonna have this beers and cider, they're gonna be on the CCTV coverage area.
And just a final point to follow up on that, would I be right in assuming and hoping that the sort of all of the alcohol storage area will be in full view from the counter? So if you've got someone operating the counter, they can see what's going on in the store, they can see if anybody is sort of interfering with those.
So there's a screen in just front of the counter from where if a person is until he can see like where all the beers, and he can monitor everything. Yeah.
I find that very reassuring, thank you.
Thank you. Back to me before I come on to Mr. Stevens. So your detailed application on the 4 steps you've been taking to promote the licensing objectives. Now these are it's very important these, because these are the list of the steps you're going to be taking to comply, to be a good licensee, and we will be, your approval, if it's given, will be implicit that you will be following these through, so they're important to list them correctly. Unfortunately, I think you might have gone a bit wrong in how you've set them out, because number C, public safety, the conditions there, the 6 conditions there, are repeated under D, the prevention of public nuisance. Is that what you intended, or should we be saying something more on? I think we should be saying something different on public nuisance. Yep.
Which is you added, no? This is done by mistake. So the talk about the public nuisance that you wrote down on this paper. No, one second. Where is it gone? Same thing. So this has been done by mistake.
We're on page 22.
Yeah, he's seen it. It's got in front of him.
Public.
Yeah, same thing. What we said earlier about the public nuisance.
Yeah, it's the same thing what we have said about public nuisance earlier.
But this, ask them if I can speak on your behalf.
He cannot speak on my behalf. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little bit nervous. So this was, we spoke about this earlier outside before we came in here. This was probably looks like that is copied and pasted by mistake into the same question under the public nuisance. But in regard to the prevention of public nuisance, he's already mentioned, nothing to add from my side, that there are bins outside to make sure there's no litter, and also there'll be signage to make sure that the customers, when they leave quietly, because there are houses nearby. Although we could get a little bit of a problem, just to let the committee know, that we could get drunk people coming from the pubs, they could have a strict measure that the drunk people don't come in the shop, so therefore it don't really link with the drunk people already, because as we are aware that we can't make a sale to the drunk people. So there are a couple of steps that they could take in place to make sure that the public nuisance is kept in well within the good checks, which as it pleases all the committees and the local authorities.
Okay, well, public nuisance is very serious, particularly as it's housed in a residential area like this. So we'd like those, what you've said sounds all right, but I think we'd like to see them written down and included as the application, so they can become part of the conditions of your licensing approval. I don't know if Ms Jones or Ms Pigeon have anything to say on that aspect.
I think one of my questions was going to be whether they were happy to offer those as conditions, so that they effectively vary their licence to include that in the application. But we'd obviously need to just clarify that we've covered off all the points that they wanted to address.
I think we'll need them in writing at some point, won't we?
we'd need to do that during the hearing today. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. If it's okay by you, Ed, I'd like to just probe a little bit more into the into the checks for the 25 challenge 25. So I think you said that you're going to be DBS checked. I think you said that all the people working for you will also be DBS checked as well. I just want to clarify whether that's the case or not. And the other part of that question is, when you first get the license, I'm sure it would be quite exciting. You've got a new shop and you'll be following all the rules and so on. But what could happen is that maybe in 6 months, a year, 2 years' time, all that training and all that reading of all the rules and regulations, it might start to drift away. You might start forgetting about obviously the need and the importance of the training and so on. What can you say to us to reassure us that those things will be in your mind in 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years in the future, that they're not just forgotten about in the future? So so there's two questions there. First of all, one about DBS checks for all the staff, whether it's all staff, and the second part is how are you going to make sure that this is kept in mind even in the years to come?
That was a very good point. Tell them about the thing that you said to me earlier about mystery shops. Okay. To make sure that all the legality and everything, Challenge 25 will be followed properly. There's going to be mystery shopping thing, like if our staff is there, we will be very randomly or oftenly we will be like try to do some mystery shopping, and if we will see that if they are following this Challenge 25 or not, and we will also work with council if there is because what I have observed in some of the nearby convenience store, there's someone from, I guess, council or something, they go and do the mystery shopping. So council will do their part to make sure that Challenge 25 is made, and we also do our part when our staff is there, maybe in 2 months or 3 months, every now and then, that we will send someone and try to see that how the staff is following that Challenge 25 rule. Yeah.
If I just come back on that, so the reassurance I was looking for was something like, you might start off with very good intentions and they might drift away. So one way to sustain that for the future would be to have like a written training document, which is basically, so when you do training with a new staff, this is, you have something which is perhaps on the wall in the back somewhere. This is a training document. These are the rules and so on. So there's always always a reminder to go back to the standard which is written down. So that's one thing which I think personally I'd like to see reassured. I just want to also ask you about, just to confirm that all of your staff, they will all have DBS checks. Is that what you said?
Yes, all the staff are going to have the DBS check.
Okay. So my question is about the public nuisance, about you might get children coming in, getting ice creams, getting sweets, then throwing the wrappers down on the floor and these sorts of things. So I'm very pleased to know that you're going to take some responsibility about this bin outside of your shop, which is very good news. I want to clarify, is this bin owned by the city council or is this bin owned by you?
It's owned by us, like it's a private vendor.
Bin. You're just going to put it on the pavement and then take it in at night.
Yeah.
Fine.
No,
it stays outside. It's 1100 litre
it's-
big bin which stays in the corner of the shop, which is out of the way of the pavement and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, okay. So So you'll be responsible for emptying it, and it'll be out the whole time, or will it be just out during your opening hours?
It's gonna outside every time, but when the shop is open, the bin gonna be open, but at the night, we will lock the bin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then my last question is about litter picking. So in the front of your shop, you can't be responsible for the whole road, I know. Okay. But in front of your shop, will you be taking responsibility for picking up litter that is in front of your shop?
Got the litter picking handles that you ordered.
Yeah, we ordered the litter picking handles, and we will make sure that all the litters have been picked on time. Like the main time the littering gonna happen is like when the schools, when after the school, when kids arrive and they buy something. So we will especially make sure at that time, especially that litters have been picked and everything has been picked and thrown into bin.
Okay, so that's good to hear. So is that already written in as a condition in your application that you will do a litter pick, regular litter pick? That's already in there?
It's not, but we can add that on.
Yes, we'll look forward to what you've just discussed being in the when you submit a proper section D. Just to clarify about the litter bin placement, I think the shop's got a small forecourt, hasn't it, which is part of the premises, or is it just straight onto the pavement on both sides?
So there's a pavement which goes, because there's a corner shop, there's a pavement, like the government pavement, which goes around the council pavement. Then there's a little space in front of the shop. So it's an L shape. So in the one corner tucked in, there's a 1100 bin, which is away from the main entrance of the shop.
But it's outside
Yes,
doors.
yes.
Any questions from Ms Jones or Ms Pigeon?
If I could please, Chair, I just wanted to clarify, just go back to the Think 25. Could you just talk through the refusals log and how you're going to manage that, please?
So you already ordered refusal box. This isn't this page. 1 second. So refusal box will, if you want, then I can tell them what's them.
Can you answer on my behalf? So
He would like me to answer. So they've already ordered it from Amazon. It's a little A4 book which says refusal logs, which has name, time, and yes and no in the end. So the purpose of that is that they will record whenever they have refused, because if the refusal log is kept empty, that means the Challenge 5 policy is not really active and it's not really working. You could verbally refuse somebody, but if you haven't written them down, because sometime in the trade, people know, like as a being a customer service behind the counter, you get to know kids' names or somebody's name. So if those names are written, and then it becomes a training itself that you know that who you have refused and stuff like that.
Thank you, Chair.
No further questions from me, thank you.
Sorry to go back on this. I don't wonder whether this can be clarified by you or by the applicant. So we got on page 25, the signature is a firm called Impact. Is that the same as Holston Ridge?
Sorry, could you repeat your page 25 question, please?
Back to my first question about who the applicant is. So you've applied in the name of Halston Ridge Limited, but it's signed on page 25 in the name of Impact Limited.
This Impact Limited is my agent who has helped me to apply for the premises license. Yeah.
An agent's name, yes, that's good, and that's usual. Thanks so much. Well, they got to sort out your section D. Charlotte?
Sorry, Chair, I was just going to suggest, would this be a good time for an adjournment so we can just clarify that section D with the applicant?
Yeah. Okay. So let's adjourn for a couple of minutes while you sort out section D. Right, thank you very much. Apologise for the short adjournment. Could you explain, Ms Pigeon, about what we've been doing and looking at section D?
Thank you, Chair. So due to the administrative error in the section D, the applicant has offered effectively a variation to the licence to include what they wanted to include in that section. I'll just read through it just for the purposes of the recording. So it's no alcohol on the entrance or exit to the shop, no self-service of the high percentage alcohol, so the spirits will be kept behind the till. There'll be signs reminding customers to respect neighbours and leave politely, and there will be a large bin outside the shop, regular litter picking by staff in the immediate vicinity of the shop, and drunk or disorderly customers will not be served in the premises. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And if we grant approval, those will form part of the conditions of the licence. Right, we'll move on to the next section then, which is the chance for objectors to make any representations. As we don't have any attendance, we will go through the representations which have been made in writing. We will take the representations which are made into full account. We'll take them into consideration, and we will. Should we be going through these? Should we be reading them out?
We wouldn't usually, Chair, because obviously you've already read them, but if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'll just check that my colleagues have read the details. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. The next part of this is any councillors representing the area. There aren't any. And is there anyone in the room who wants to say anything more? Right, we'll now ask a licensing officer to give her closing statement.
Thank you. So yes, just a reminder, we're here today for the application of a new premises licence for London House Convenience Store in St John's. You've had the opportunity to listen to the report, you've had a look at the objection received, you've had the opportunity to listen to the applicant as to how they will deal with that. So just a reminder, the premises licence application is for the supply of alcohol every day from 7 till 11. So it's now down to the subcommittee to consider and determine the application and decide whether to grant the application or refuse the application. Thank you.
Thank you. And could we have any closing statement from the applicant?
My friend will give the closing statement on my behalf.
So I would like to address to the chair. My friend here, Mr. Yadav, he addressed Mr. Kimberley's questions in regards to the Challenge 25. So he's already said what he will be doing to make sure that the Challenge 5 is always kept held to the best of the ability. And then also Mr. Stevens' questions regarding the litter, public nuisance. And we've offered section couple of the points which Charlotte has mentioned, that which can be added on as a condition, which they don't really mind. And if the chair has the licensing time as well, which they put 7 to 23, if they feel that the early morning you don't want the sale of alcohol to be done, then they are happy to take reduction of those timings as well, as a part of your decision, because obviously around school times, main time is 7 to 9, which we discussed. So between that, there are kids involved. So if committee decides that alcohol is only going to be served after 9 a.m., they're happy with that. And if the committee decides that there's going to be no sale between 3 to 4 p.m., which is again a school rush, which should accommodate the person who made the is a complaint or representation, I say, against this application. So it should be accommodating their perspective as well, that Holston Ridge directors and the DPS himself is looking to take these measures for you guys to decide the decision, and that's all.
Thank you very much. That's useful. Ms. Pigeon?
Thank you, Chair. So I'll just sum up the legal advice before everyone adjourns. As you're aware, the licensing objectives are your paramount consideration, and you should only have regard to representations which promote the licensing objectives. As I'm sure you've identified, some of the representations would fall outside of the remit of the committee. So the ones that we're considering today is prevention of children, protection of children even, and prevention of public nuisance. And you're reminded that that because this isn't in a cumulative impact area, you should be granting this application unless to do so would undermine the licensing objectives. You should give no less weight to the representations that you've received in writing. You must consider the Section 182 guidance and our statement of licensing policy, and then you must take the steps that you consider appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives and either grant the application as requested, modify the conditions, altering or omitting or adding to them, reject the application in whole or in part. I would just highlight that you shouldn't modify or add conditions because it is desirable to do so. It must be appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. And I would just remind us that, as we've already discussed it, but there has been a variation today to add those additional conditions into Section D by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now have an adjournment of the meeting, and we'll ask you to leave while we discuss and reach some decisions on your application. Thank you very much. If you could like to wait outside. Okay, thanks very much. And the meeting is now continued and we're going to go through our decision. We have decided to grant your application as submitted with the amended conditions which you've been circulated and so it's on section D. Ms Pigeon will go through the process of announcing that decision. I'll just remind you that this is just a licensing committee and we're covering only the matters which were dealt with under licensing. We aren't the planning committee. There may be matters which require planning consent, but that's not been in our remit today, and particularly thinking about shop frontages and display signs. But that's up to you to sort out, not up to us. I think that's probably it. Thank you very much, and over to Ms Pigeon for the process.
Thank you, Chair. So you'll get a written decision notice within 5 working days. There is a right of appeal of 21 days, so that will go to the objectors as well. They could also exercise a right of appeal. Okay, thank you.
Just a question on his behalf. You said there was a 21 days will be given to the people to make appeal against this, right? And does that mean if there's no appeal after the 21 days, then we'll get a live date when this application will become in force?
Yeah, I think Nikki might be able to address that outside with you. Yeah, thank you.